today. Now we'll head over to Dr. Pablo Tejedo from the Autonomous University of Madrid and part of SCAR. And his keynote presentation will be on the complexity of assessing the impacts of human presence, including tourism, on Antarctica. Pablo, the floor is yours.
Thank you for your kind introduction, Dan. I'm trying to share my screen, and I think that you are now seeing it. Okay, after this wonderful recorded video, is the moment for a brief presentation about the impacts of human presence on Antarctica, but focus on tourism activity. First of all, it's a pleasure being here today. Thank you for all of you for being here. Before beginning, I want to thank to the organizers for the celebration of this event. We will see throughout the next 5 to 6 minutes that this meeting and the subsequent call are very suitable and necessary to ensure a sustainable future for Antarctica. My name is Pablo Tejedo. I work as lab technician in the Autonomous University of Madrid. I work on Antarctica since 2008. My profile and interests are in the list of participants. But I'm here today giving a speech, but really representing a research team. These are my main partners, although there are many other researchers who collaborate with us on specific projects of papers. This is the structure of the presentation. This is a talk more informative than scientific. We are going to try to answer the following questions, which are based on the 6 basic questions that all research must answer. Adding some final questions for discussion if the audience is interested, of course. The first one, what should we do from science to study tourism impact in Antarctica? The Antarctic tourism research needs have been identified in different papers and technical reports. However, there is now active, a very interesting initiative. You have here the information, the data. It's the AC21 Antarctic Tourism Research SEED project. It seeks to form an informal collaborative research network and agenda for Antarctic tourism. We will have a meeting in the Kobe Congress. So if you are interested, you can send an email to Yufail Lian and spread your interest in participate in this event. This is the future, but we also need to know how what has been done until now. This was analyzed in a paper sent to the Journal of Environmental Management, in which is now under review. And some highlights from this paper are the next. The first one, limitations, identifying what is an impact. Many are potential until proven otherwise, but are possible. Tourism has both positive and negative consequences. You should have this in, and keep it on mind, because there are positive effects of tourism activity. This is very curious. A third part of the reviewed papers do not identify an impact as a result of the tourism present of activity. This does not mean that there is not a negative consequence from tourist presence, but maybe it's not significant. We don't have a significant impact. And think that the tourism industry is the first one interested in visit a well-preserved site. Designs are not always robust. Maybe we need to think a lot or think a little more and apply statistics or methodologies from other areas, such as the environmental impact assessment. Few medium or long-term studies. You have here an example from one paper of our research team. And the idea is that management must be based on quality scientific data, and this requires several years of work. And we don't have always a long time or enough time. We have difficulty in dealing with the accumulated effect of different impacts and sources. There are some interesting documents about this topic, but more research is needed. Monitoring program and projects affected by logistical limitations. So what do we need? A strong cooperation. And we have here an example of this cooperation through an experience of the Council of Managers of Antarctic National Programs. They have working groups for sharing resources. The aim is to reduce costs, optimize resources, decrease the carbon footprint, and increase science in a sustainable way. There are very interesting aims. And we need for a global strategy. This is the main conclusion of our paper. We need a more coordinated approach to manage the Antarctic tourism, enhancing data transparency and sharing. Maybe some project from this Dutch call could try this challenge. I hope so. Who should be involved in this process? There are many actors intervening in the regulation of Antarctic tourism. Surely this tentative list could be even be expanded, but we are in favor of adding new elements. We propose establish a permanent tourism advisory group that will report directly to the Committee on Environmental Protection to the Antarctic Treaty. This is only a proposal. There might be other interesting and even better alternatives. It's a matter for debate. When and why should we face this challenge? When? As soon as possible, as usual. And why? Because we have now critical mass of researchers and working groups, as you can see in this slide. We have also a strong scientific background with more and more papers about this topic in the recent years. And we have a temporal decrease in Antarctic tourism, in the pressure from Antarctic tourism, but sooner or later, tourism will rise again. So that's the moment now for this effort. Where to focus our efforts? Maybe it's a proposal, also a proposal. The best option could be the Antarctic Peninsula, because more of the tourism activity is focused on this area. But this does not mean that other case studies cannot be developed in other locations on the continent, in the Ross Sea area, for example, I don't know. If possible, they will be always welcome. We need more and more research. And some questions for discussion. How is nature-based tourism regulated in other places? We can learn. What successful management frameworks and tools are applied? We bet on adaptive management, for example, on this paper. If you are interested in this topic, you can consult it. Are the behavioral guidelines aimed at limiting the impacts on the presence of tourists in Antarctica effective? We need to know more about the effectiveness of these measures, and it should be assessed. What elements should be taken into account when assessing the sensitivity of a site to tourist visits? We have some documents presented as information papers in the TCM, but we should work more and more on this topic. Shall we introduce temporary closures to promote recovery? It's a common question for us. And finally, will the current legal instruments to regulate Antarctic tourism be sufficient in the coming years? Maybe no, and we have to work on it. And three final remarks. Regional strategical planning, it's necessary. We have to combine efforts. Cooperation, alliances, collaboration, as you want to say that. We need to be together because collaboration gives more productive science, I think. And finally, solid and permanent funding is necessary. We have specific grants or projects, but we need a constant, a permanent funding to this task, or all these tasks. Maybe an eco tax that was proposed in recent years could be the solution, but who will manage this money? It's difficult to say, and it's complicated. So thank you for your attention, and we can be in touch through the email. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pablo, for your